Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Denise the Painter, and you guys probably all know her from the comments section. So she sent in an audio file. It's an hour and 6 minutes long. So here we go.
Hi Ollie, it's Denise. I want to share something with you. In the original recording that I'd sent you, as I mentioned in a letter to you, I had inadvertently mentioned my son's name a couple times in the retelling of this story. And so I tried making a video to retell the story, but it's hard, when your mind's boggled from gaslighting and whatnot. It's very hard to recapture what it is you were expressing. That's why it's important to record things right after it happens. Either record it happening or record yourself telling how it happened. So what I'm going to do is I've got my phone here and I'm going to play it, the recording I had, but I will edit out my son's name in the recording and maintain the integrity of the original thing I sent you. The setup of this is my son's father and I separated 18 years ago. He's a jazz drummer and I'm a painter. We don't have a lot of money. We've never had a lot of money or surplus money. So the cost and process of obtaining a divorce, an actual divorce, is too expensive and unnecessary, as we know where we stand, each of us. He's with someone new. For 18 years he's been without a woman named Julie. I'm aware of that. I've moved on with my own life, and we co-parent a wonderful son who is now in his 20s. If he ever wanted to remarry, of course we'd go through with the divorce, or if I ever wanted to remarry, we'd get a divorce, but that's out of necessity. But the necessity never arose. Okay, he's never asked this woman to marry him. She's apparently, according to my son, brought it up on several occasions, and the father has confirmed this. She's pressured him, and I understand where she's coming from, that she'd want him to marry her and divorce me. But he never wanted to. She even came up to me and sat down with me and said, I'd like you to divorce him. I said, oh, are you married? Are you two getting married? And she said, no, but we might. And I said, well, I'll divorce him. If you need a divorce, I'm not holding back. I'm not saying no to a divorce. And I even, after that, stood in front of him at their house and in front of her, and I said, Jerry, if you ever want to marry Julie, I will grant a divorce, no problem. I wouldn't ever not divorce you, Do you want a divorce? We could get a divorce. You have the money for it? Go for it. I've got no problem giving that. I'm not holding you back. Let it be known. And he shot the look of daggers at me, for saying that, especially in front of her. But
Well, probably because he's blaming you. He doesn't really want to marry her. He likes the comfort of being able to stay legally married to her, to you, so he doesn't ever have to get legally married to her.
But now, see, she sees it's not because of me he's not divorcing her. He doesn't want to remarry, and he's made that clear to me. And I'm sure he's probably laid on some story and excuse to her. Well, Denise won't divorce me or something. That's bullshit. I would in a heartbeat. What am I going to hang on? It's been 18 years, for crying out loud. we're only married on paper, you know. I don't care. I really don't. But he and I have been friends all this time, you know. And she has too. She even said to me, Denise, you're family. You're like family. She says the nicest things to me. And in amongst those nice things, she gives me zingers, put-downs, snide remarks when she and I are alone together. And she's been doing this increasingly so for the past 18 years, increasingly so, when no one's looking, including every time she and I are alone together and I'm on my mobility scooter, which is basically my legs now. I'm very good at driving that machine. Each and every time she said, oh, you just ran over my foot. That's okay, but you just ran over my foot. It's all right. My 80-year-old mother does it all the time. Like, I did not ever once run over her foot because I know this machine and I know what it feels like running over a rock or anything. You can feel it. And I'm very aware of people around me, and there's no way in hell I even once ran over her foot. You know, even if she purposefully had put her foot right there, why would anyone do that? I would have felt it. And there's no way I ran over her foot. But she says that. It's one of her zingers. See? Zingers. It's a put down. It's what I call a put down. Covert narc put down. And so this video is about the final straw. And the reason I'm putting this to Ollie is I would like his opinion of what happened, maybe some validation, or telling me if I'm getting it all wrong, but I don't think I am. And so here we go. So get a load of this. I went out for the first time in ages to see my son's drum, Jerry Ball. And I haven't seen him drum live at a proper concert in like a decade, and I'm not even kidding, like about a decade. And it was a really special night for me. It was in the front of this little place in our neighborhood. And I just want to point out, I had been withdrawing socially for quite some time. As I've been in the process of de-narking my life, there were a lot of narcs in that social circle. And I also wasn't comfortable at these gigs because the concerts remind me of the good old days when we were still married. And I'm a very deeply sentimental person, and it would hurt me, actually, to go. But I thought, you know what? It's been a decade. I think I'm in a good place now, and I'm ready to re-socialize. I'm ready to reintegrate myself into society. So I'll go. And that was like a big stepping stone for me. Okay, I'm going to go. And I was really looking forward to it. And he and I have been getting along so well. A short little mobility scooter ride. So I decided to go. And the show started at 10 o'clock. I get a text from his girlfriend, Julie, telling me, oh, stop by my place anytime after 10 and we'll go from there. So I thought, okay, like, I thought she was a friend, right? So I stopped by there, and she's got to wait. She's all nice and everything. She's got to wait because she's waiting for a dealer to come with some pot. And he doesn't show up till, like, after 11. So as I'm sitting there with her, and she's got the CBC radio playing softly, and it's otherwise dark in the backyard except for this one little candle. Okay, so I'm in this fucking lucid state of mind back there in the dark with it. And what I want to point out is that I've noticed that narcs will get you into an ambient sort of atmosphere where your mind is susceptible. You're prone to drifting off, like kind of like staring at a flame or something, where you're sort of open to suggestion, almost like daydreaming, okay, lucidity. And that's when narcs will start interjecting abuse in amongst otherwise normal banter. And
Yeah, like they hypnotize you.
And just start telling her some of my plans and things I'm doing, and making conversation with her. And I said, I was thinking about selling some of my art prints on the street, make some money, because I'm so damn poor. There's a lot of paintings I've done that people have
Listen, I gotta, right here, Denise, about the art. You gotta start selling your art. You have way too much content. You're way too talented to not be making money, a lot of money off your art. You are talented enough to have been to be in a gallery, no problem. Charlene, who's someone who's worked in a gallery, has run the corporate office of a gallery, knows what gallery artists do, knows gallery artists. You should be in a gallery, or should be at least not be poor with your artistic ability.
Over the years, commissioned, and a lot of them are in high demand, and I've got still really nice photos of them, and I could make prints of them and sell them, not to mention prints of Prince, etc. Prince Nelson, Prince Rogers Nelson, who I painted. I could sell that. Prints of the things that people want that are already sold.
If you got photos, if you got high res photos of your work, you could go on a site like Fine Art America, and they can make prints for you, any size, anything you need. Set up your own page, and people buy off of it.
But and I was referring mostly to the landscapes. I mean, they're universally enjoyable across the spectrum of society. And here's what narcissists do. I've learned this. They immediately start defending something before they say it, with all these sort of precursor kind of, what do you call it, like disclaimers, okay? And what they do as they're doing that is reveal to themselves what they are. Everything they say, reveal to the other person what they are. I said it wrong. They're not in the disclaimer, which you haven't accused them of. Everything they're saying as a disclaimer, as they're making a statement, is actually them confessing involuntarily, letting you know what they are. Example, when I told her about the prints that I wanted to make, she goes, well, and I'm not picking on you, but it's just that the landscapes are, I'm not saying this out of jealousy or to put you down. It's just that they're really generic and like a dime a dozen, and it's not that I'm saying your art's not good or original, and maybe you should put something interesting.
Here's the thing. When you're a creative person, okay, and people start telling you what your work is, was, should be, shouldn't be, here's your response. Where's your artwork? Where's your artwork? I wasn't asking for your opinion. I was telling you what I was thinking about doing. Wasn't asking for your opinion on it. When they say they're not jealous or trying to criticize, that's exactly what they're doing.
That people would want to buy, because I can't really see anyone even buying one of those prints for you. And I said,
really? Because where's your artwork? All the artwork you've sold. So unless this woman sold some artwork, Denise, I don't know why you would put any stock into anything she says other than this bitch is trying to sabotage me. And here's your mistake, is I understand you were introverted and this was a big step of you going out, but you're walking back right back in to the same issues that caused you to be an introvert to begin with.
They're only $10 each, like, and the original's like 1,000. Why wouldn't someone, when people were willing to pay 1,000, why wouldn't they pay 10 for a good print? Well, it's just that, they're just, you see that.
You're the painter. You're the artist. Why are you where is she getting this basis of knowledge? And why are you legitimizing her by even arguing this ridiculousness?
That everywhere. I said, you don't see them like mine. They're really, really good paintings. I'm a good landscape painter. I've never seen any art exactly like mine. People love my art.
Never defend your art. Never defend your art.
Your art's boring or anything. So basically, to break it down, she admits, yeah, oh, and I'm not jealous of you. She said that too. I'm not jealous of you, and I'm not putting your art down. All these precursors of what she's not was actually what she's saying she was. So if you, and I bet Charlene has put up with this horse shit from people too. Let me just add another thing is these people will come in your place that's full of art all over the walls and they won't say a thing. They'll pretend it's invisible, that they don't see it. That's another jealous of your art narc move. That's right. I bet.
I will tell you this as well, Denise. If you are displaying your art in Canada, that's how Canadians are. They're just so up their own asses and will, like what I say, they're very passive aggressive and they love to waste your time. Nothing makes it. That's why they're not liked down here. They're friggin' hated in South Florida. Hated because they're notorious for bad driving, being really, really passive aggressive but nice about it, and just wasting your time. They were hated in the art gallery because they would just come in and either passively aggressively criticize, they always had something to say, or they would act like they were interested, get you all ramped up, and say, I gotta think, and then leave. Every friggin' time. Every friggin' time.
That's happened to Charlene. People refuse to even comment on it. Mm-hmm. Rewind that, re-listen to that, because I can't remember.
You need a more of a social media presence, I think. Okay, you got to kind of get out of, I don't know, you got to get out of the gallery mindset anyway, because you don't need it. Okay, if you put your stuff out online to enough spots, you're going to get, I'm telling you, your stuff is going to get a lot of accolades. You're going to get haters no matter what you do. No matter what you do.
Little reiteration, but that's basically what she said. Then the zingers, she was like pulling out all the fucking narc classics, okay? I decide to let that shit pass because I don't feel like arguing. It gets me stressed out, and when I'm stressed, it exacerbates the MS, okay? Otherwise, I would have put her in her place. Anyways, so I decided to give it a pass for now, while I'm sitting there in the dark on what's supposed to be a pleasant night for me. So, we get to talking, and somehow topic of my son comes up, and I said, I think my son is a really good and kind, compassionate person. And her response was to say, nothing in common. You're very, very different, like complete opposites. My son and I. Nice, yeah. Oh, so I'm not a kind and compassionate person. I have nothing in common with my son. And incidentally, we have a lot in common, and my son and I have a wonderful relationship. And we socialize a lot. We have a lot of common interests. Anime, games, a lot of things in common. Sense of humor, things we think are funny, movie.
Again, she has no frame of reference of you or your son, yet you're explaining things to her, and you're validating her criticisms just by arguing with her.
We like food. We actually hang out together a lot. We have a good relationship. Okay, a good mother and son, respectful, mutually respectful relationship. And I don't pry to him. I don't nose around in his business. You know, I'm not pressuring him. We get along wonderfully. We have a very good relationship. And see, she's trying to negate that. She's trying to suggest that we have nothing. And it's all stemming from her jealousy of the family I have with her boyfriend, my ex-husband. But my relationship, trying to trivialize and downplay the validity and value of my relationship with my own son. You know, a son who, by the way, when my son used to go over there to spend some nights at his dad's, he stopped going there because she was mercilessly picking on him, much like sibling rivalry, picking on him, starting fights. He hated being there so much, you know, trying to dictate what he eats, purposefully making food he doesn't like and insisting he eat it and all this bullshit, you know. Yeah, now she's trying to downplay the strength of my bond with my son.
Well, why did your husband allow it? You know, your husband, and he is still your husband. I mean, technically. Well, I mean, you know, he is your husband. Technically, he's not because he doesn't live there, but legally, he's your husband. Why is he allowing? He's the problem through all of this because he's allowing it. And you know, your indicator is when it was clear he was lying to her about why he's still married to you. He's the issue.
Son. By the way, this is days before she's going to have my son come and cat sit for her while she and my former husband go on a little soiree up to some funny farm art party. And by the way, her cat is a replacement for her cat that just died. And when her cat just died, she said to me, you know, Denise, I'm thinking of having you paint a portrait of me and my cat in a nice watercolor, and I'll pay for materials. You know, watercolor is a very affordable medium, cheap actually. One sheet of paper is about $7, and I would have used a quarter of a sheet of paper. And the paint, you don't use a lot of paint in doing a watercolor. The price is not paying for the materials. The price is for the fact that it's the hardest medium to paint in on the planet, basically. And for my weeks of work, notice what's missing in her little offer there? Her little, not even offer, her I'm going to order this from you, servant, talking to me like that. Have you paint this?
Please.
Paying me for my time. Paying me for my time. And asking me if I even want to do it. No, I think I'll have you do this. And I'm going to pay you this paltry amount, which would add up to maybe $3. I didn't do it, by the way. She says her kitten is so special. She needs my son to stay there every night with the cat. Her replacement cat that she got to replace this cat that just died. Okay, it was very small when they got it, so it almost died. But it's fine now. It's like just entering into cathood, you know, that in-between stage. She walks the thing on a leash, you know, fusses over it ridiculously, takes it to the vet for multiple tests and whatnot, which sounds very attentive, and her mother pays for it. Okay, her mother pays for everything, including her rent every month. This is a narc. Julie is 50 years old, by the way. A narc. A lot of people say, oh, narcs, they had abusive childhoods and that's why they're narcs. Well, there's other kind of narcs too, who are entitled, and they're spoiled brats who their parents rape.
Yeah, Virginia, my grandmother, that's her. She was just a spoiled little brat from birth. And the story I told of, she used to tell how her mother had this beautiful, long, curly red hair. And she used to sit my grandmother on her lap and drape her curls over my grandmother's head so it looked like her curls. And she used to say, oh, if I could give you my hair and my curls, I would give it to you. And my grandmother said, even as a little girl, as a child sitting there, she said, why would you give me those curls? Those are yours. I wouldn't want somebody to have my nice curls. Even though she liked her mother's hair and what, she would not. So yeah, it is possible to be entitled into being a narc. I've seen it.
Raised with no boundaries, overpraised them for everything, and basically they have no morals. They feel entitled to everything, like they've got everything good in this world coming to them, and for free, etc. They don't have to pay for, but they don't have to reciprocate. Yeah, this is the kind of woman, and they make demands. And here she is making a demand of my son when he's going to cat sit while they're off having a party, that he's not only going to cat sit, she wants him to stay over every night because the cat will get lonely. This kid, it's preposterous.
Cats don't give a shit. Cats don't care.
Like he's going to do that. Anyways, and then she goes, because he lives with me, she goes, I bet he'll just really jump at the chance to get the hell away from you. To get away from you. And then she goes, oh, well, I'm not saying that he doesn't like being with you. Yes, you are. That's another disclaimer, right? I'm not saying he doesn't like being with you. She goes, so you probably will enjoy some free time too. But that's not the way she framed it. That's not the way she said it. Yeah. Leap at a chance to get the hell away from me. You know, all these fucking zingers, these insinuations, these put downs and insults. And then guess what? I'm at the concert. I get there. She gets me there, like, because she's bringing me, right? Guiding me to where this place is. At like, it was like 11:30 or something. I caught the tail end of the last set, and I'm holding this video camera. I'm steadily videoing what is such a beautiful, exquisite drum solo that I'm in tears. I'm so moved by the quality. He's really, really, really improved since the last time I'd seen him. And he was great back then. He was fucking awesome. And I was holding the camera, capturing this very, very precious moment. And she reaches over and snatches it quickly and rapidly and aggressively out of my hand, my telephone, and holds it up and starts moving it around, fucking up the video. And you'll see at the 30-second mark of Narcissist Ruins My Drum Solo video, Great Bob, that's what happened. He's out of frame. He's not even in the fucking picture at some points, like just part of him. He's drumming something. You should be looking at his hands, and they're not even in the picture. They're not even in the video. And moving it all around like this and like this, like if the videos that's supposed to be of me, this is how it's going, okay? You know? And she did that on purpose. She ruined my fucking memory of my son's father drumming emotional telling that story because I'm very sentimental and I've been avoiding going to these shows, these concerts, because I was socially withdrawing. So to be reintroduced to that atmosphere and seeing him and being reminded of how talented he is was really, really moving. And he was looking at me and smiling, and I was smiling at him, and I guess she looked over and saw that. Didn't like that.
Well, if you were in her shoes, would you like it? I mean, it's not the greatest sounding story, Denise. I mean, she's wrong for what she's doing, but you got to kind of put yourself in her position as well. You know, I wouldn't have liked that either, to be honest with you.
Can't repeat that. It was a fucking golden moment. My first time seeing him live in a decade, and he's smiling at me, and I'm smiling at him and filming, beaming at each other. She didn't like that. Still intimidated by me after all these years. It's been like 18 years. Fucking still jealous of me? God damn it. You know, sorry. God, you know.
It's not about you, Denise. It's about him. Neither one of you will address him. He's the source of the fucking problem. It's him. He was the one who was going to have his son come over and babysit a cat. He was the one who allowed his girlfriend to feed foods he knew his son didn't like. Him. He's the problem. He's probably smiling at you trying to torque her up. He's pulling her strings, Denise. It's him.
The point is she's got him, okay? Doesn't she get it? They lived together almost 20 years. Can't she get over herself? Get over the fact he and I are still friends. We have a child together. I've never done or said anything.
This is his problem. This isn't your problem, Denise. This is his problem. Her jealousy of you is his problem. It's not your problem anymore. It's not. And I know you think you're friends with him, and you might be on a certain level. He's getting off on this shit. He absolutely is getting off on this shit.
Anything to instigate any jealousy whatsoever in her. And you know what? I can look really good. Hard to believe looking at me like this. Give me 45 minutes. You'll see a different woman. Okay? I'm always making sure to let her shine.
In other words, when we go out together, all of us, I wouldn't do my hair, I wouldn't put makeup on, I wouldn't put a wig on most of the time, you know. I just go looking all slobby, whatever, so she can shine. Because I've been around women before that are competitive, and if I doll up, they get all intimidated.
They're going to get competitive regardless, no matter what you do. It's a weird situation, Denise.
You know, and I didn't want to bring that about in her. And she'd stand with her arms around him, standing behind him, looking at me with a smirk like, I've got him now. That kind of look like, fuck, yeah, I get it. I'm the one that left him. I'm the one that left him. I get it. I'm not with him. You know? There were reasons. But we remained friends.
You know, I don't have to. And I could say a lot of shit about her. She likes to put me down. Yeah, guess who's gaining weight? That's the first place I could attack.
Could attack if I was an asshole. But I'm not like that.
And the fact that she doesn't fucking do anything really remarkable whatsoever. But I don't, because I'm not an asshole. I'm not a mean person.
So she doesn't do anything remarkable whatsoever. Why would you take her advice, her anything on your artwork? Why? You're answering your own question. And to her, she's gonna take it in you coming around as you still competing with her, because it is a weird situation. But understand, your husband is the one who's getting off on this. Your ex, whatever you're calling him now, he's the one who's pulling these strings. He's getting off on this. Watching his girlfriend and his wife have this passive aggressive really? And he's letting it happen. He let it happen at the expense of his son.
You know. So the next day at brunch, this is what I'm videotaping now about. My ex-husband invites my son and I to join him and her for brunch after the night after the concert.
What? Because he's getting off on this, Denise. It's him. What, is he just a glutton for punishment?
Belated birthday brunch, not late night. The belated birthday brunch the next day for my son. And I said, okay, sure, thanks. I'll come along. And they knew I didn't have any money, and he invited me anyways. So as we're sitting there for brunch, she starts lecturing me like she had the night before, by the way, while we're waiting for a dealer.
And this is something that I notice narcs do. They'll tell you some little bit of information or advice that everybody knows, like it's talking down to you, basically, as if you're an idiot. It's as if you're an idiot. They might as well be saying, well, first you put your foot in one part of the pants and your foot in the other part,
like
and
a
then
child.
you put on one shoe and the next. You know?
They do that to set up an atmosphere for anybody who's around, anybody who's listening, so they think this is how you always are and you need to be spoken to like a child. It gives them, they feel it gives them carte blanche or just free will to do what they are trying to craft a narrative about you to other people in a public space. That's what they do. And usually when they do it, there's going to be a fight coming in the public space.
Telling you something so obvious, but saying it as if you don't know to make you sound stupid.
She's got MS too. I have progressive MS. I've had it for years, but because her sister's had it for years. See, she's...
So this guy finds 2 different women with MS. He likes women that he feels he can dominate physically because of a disability, and then he wants to watch them fight for. You don't see he's the problem here, Denise? You can't see he's orchestrating all of this shit?
She's now the know-it-all. She just developed it.
And any information I tell her about MS, like discoveries, because I'm always researching.
Denise, what are the odds of him ending up with 2 different women with MS? There's no coincidences in narcissism. You know that by now. There are no coincidences. None. He likes the neediness. He likes the superiority it gives him. He likes, because having a disease like that has to eat away at your sense of self and self-esteem. It's the same thing. Weak women he feels he can control, and then watch them fight over him. Watch 2 of them fight over him. He can stay married to one and date the other. You don't see he's the source yet, Denise? He's your problem in this? She's not the problem. She's another symptom.
Disease, you know. She'll argue with me about it. You know, for instance, it's called leaky gut syndrome. She said she'd never heard of that, so therefore it doesn't exist. And then when I show her a link on the email of an article, scientific article stating that. She won't acknowledge having received the new information. Narcs don't like to be proven wrong, and they certainly won't admit to any evidence you show them.
I'm not stupid. I make my own Lugol's iodine. I've got a chemistry set here. I'm not a stupid person. I'm not going to start bragging, but I'm not a stupid person. Okay? I know about health. I'm a remarkable chef who makes stuff up out of my head. Food, meals, and I have for years. I'm the cook, and I have been for decades. And bodybuilding and a dancer, you think I don't know how to take care of my body, and a model? Are you kidding? I'm in damn good shape even now that I'm in a friggin' mobility scooter. She starts saying to me, Denise, you have to eat fruits and vegetables. It's very important. It's very important to eat fruits and vegetables.
Wow.
Lots and lots of fruit and vegetables. And actually, she's wrong. You're not supposed to eat lots and lots of fruits.
Fruits are full of sugar. So is fruit juice.
But I didn't correct her. Miss Perfect wants to... You know, and I was vaguely amused her telling me a thing or two about nutrition, right? Okay? Yeah. Anyways, along comes the topic of my health, and I bring up, you know, she starts complaining that she's got the MS, and she's got like cyclic MS. It just comes and goes kind of thing, you know, remission, etc. And I've got progressive MS. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and that's what the doctors say. So I'm treating myself. I'm exercising and treating myself.
And researching profusely to try to find ways to get over this. So I don't need someone telling me little handy tips, someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, telling me things that are obvious. Obviously, in my course of research, I've stumbled across nutrition.
Your ex-husband is getting off
self-care.
on all
Anyway,
of this,
so,
Denise. See, here's the problem, Denise. I mean, you're right. You're breaking down the fight with her, but he's the one who's getting off on all this. He's the one who's enjoying watching this battle, watching these women in his mind fight over him, watching, or you just being a tool of her jealousy so he can get off on it. It's about him.
The topic of my brain tumor comes up. I've got a 1 centimeter meningioma in my right cerebellum. And I told her, I've got a brain tumor. It's benign, but you know. She goes, no, you don't. Lesion. I said, I'm not talking about the MS and brain lesions. I said, I've got a brain tumor. She goes, no, you don't. Starts arguing with me. And I said, yes, I do. And I just reiterated what I told you. 1 centimeter meningioma in my right cerebellum. I said, it's the same kind that Mary Tyler Moore had. She goes, that's not a tumor. I said, yes, it is. And I've got the doctor's thing saying I've got it. So what are you going to do? You know, argue with me? And then she goes, well, you should get a second opinion. And I said, I got a second opinion from Dr. Fred Gentili, a brain surgeon.
This is like two sick gladiators fighting for the pleasure of Caesar, of a narcissistic Caesar. Because even if all these conversations don't occur in front of him, you can bet for sure he gets every word of it in private. And he gets his supply over the jealousy. Otherwise, why would he keep setting it up over and over and over again? Stop performing for this guy. You are performing for this guy.
texts me. She goes, neurologist. I said, no, not neurologist. Brain surgeon, a world-renowned brain surgeon, actually, that my friend Orella with a brain tumor told me about. And of course, it's
Again, why are you fighting with this woman? Why are you arguing with this woman? Why? Because he's made it so? Because that's really what it is. She has no basis. She doesn't know. What's the point? There is no point.
confirmed, and he is keeping an eye on it once a year to see if it's getting bigger. It's supposed to get bigger like a millimeter a year is typically. And it's benign now, but it could become malignant, so they have to keep an eye on it. So here she is, lecturing me about vegetables, telling me my brain tumor is not a brain tumor, telling me my brain surgeon is not a brain surgeon. Does she stop there? No. She gets back on about the vegetables. She goes, you should really be juicing. I was juicing for years, back when I had money, and now that I'm on an even more limited budget than before, I can't afford to because it's very expensive. And I told her that. Juicing, like actively juicing, like that movie, Fat, Sick, and Almost Dead, 3 meals a day, juicing. I said juicing is very, very expensive. If you're making fruit and vegetable high impact juice like that, even one big tumbler, like what's something that big?
And then I spent a lot of time trying to find something that big. Basically about 26 ounces, okay, of juice costs a lot of money. It costs about $20 to make a big jug of juice like that.
Thing of juice, especially if you're juicing like kale and beets and zucchini and all this different cabbage, different vegetables. Hard to believe, here in my city they're very, very expensive, and you don't want to be eating rotten fruit and vegetables. And I told her it's really expensive. Takes a lot of vegetables. She goes, no, it doesn't. First she says that. And I go, yeah. And my son says, yes, actually it does take a lot of vegetables. I've helped her do it. And I said, and it's really expensive. And she goes, no, it's not. And
Your husband is getting, your ex, whatever, he's getting off on all of this. All of this. I mean, you're fighting over how much vegetables it takes to make juice. I mean, that's not what this is about. None of it. It's all just about what is the point? Wouldn't it just be easier for you, Denise, and your health and your anxiety and everything to just get the divorce yourself and just be done with it?
helps substantiate the fact it is he's bought the vegetables for me.
And she doesn't say anything to prove her statements, her contrary statements. She just opposes me for the sake of it, to argue.
Me when I couldn't make it to the store and help me, and I've used them all in one juice making session, and it makes a jug of juice that you can just down in like a few 2 or 3 tiny glasses. She's arguing with me, and I said, you don't even own a juicer. What are you talking about? I own an industrial strength stainless steel juicer. Where's your juicer? Tell me about your juicing experiences. Have you ever even made fresh juice before? You're just talking out of your...
How come you can talk like that about juicing but not your art, Denise? How come you can use the same excuse for juicing but not for your career to advance yourself? Why?
Ass. And I said, in order to make a large, like, thing of carrot juice, a glass of carrot juice, takes 2 bags of carrots. Not huge bags, 2 family-sized bags of carrots. Now, with her logic and intelligence, she wisely and great intellectual debating technique, she responds, "No, it doesn't." Takes 2 bags of carrots. "No, it doesn't." Anyways, I've had it with her. Jealous of my relationship, friendship with my own, like, literally still actually technically married to husband who she's been dating for 18 years, you know, and living with, and I've shown no indication to be jealous. Jealous of,
And that's at the helm of all of this, I'm sure. My crime that makes me warranting deserving her damn abuse in her twisted narc mind is having married my husband before, that he and I got married. You know, I'll always be someone she can probably hates this whole time, hates me, the very mention of my name, and the very sight of me and the sight of my son, because it's a reminder of that which she'll never have. If he wanted to marry her, he would have long ago.
But you don't got to play into it either by staying married to him. I mean, I kind of have some empathy for her here. She's might have some narcissism, yeah, but he's pulling the fucking string. It's him. It's him.
And she's mad at herself for agreeing to those terms with him. He needs someone to look after him. He's very childlike, you know, very, very, and she agreed to that, and she knew all along he's not going to marry her. He's always made it clear he has no intention to remarry, and she agreed to that. Now she's mad at herself, and she's taking it out on me. Jealous, pathologically envious.
my art. Here's another thing. She keeps repeatedly asking me to get together with her and we can paint together. She's never painted anything in her life
Never.
that I've ever seen.
So then again, I go back to my original question. Why would you take any type of art advice from her whatsoever?
She lent me an easel once. Actually, my ex-husband, lent me her easel. I said, she's not using it. She never uses it. And I borrowed it, and she was like bugging him. She didn't like that I was painting. Just didn't like me, I guess. Kept demanding her easel back.
Well, if it was hers and Denise, I mean, he gave his wife's easel, his girlfriend's easel to his wife, who, Denise, that's like, nobody would be happy with that. Nobody.
I'm like, what does she need it for? Does she paint now? And he's like, no. You don't have to give it back. And she kept bitching that she wants it back so many times that I brought it back. Was he ever mad that I brought that back?
Because he's manipulating everybody, Denise. He's using both of you. He's getting off on all of this. If it was her easel, it's her easel. He can't just give it away. That's wrong, whether she's using it or not. Her property is her property. That's not right. I'm sorry, it's not.
It's like, what are we going to do with this now in the house? She doesn't even use it. Threw it in the closet. Yeah. That's another thing she was bringing up that night while we're waiting to go to the concert, is wants to come over and get together and paint. And I said, oh, do you have canvases? I said, I'm not giving you canvases. I said, I guess you could use some of my paint. She's like, oh no, I've got tons of paint, my own
would she? But she's never painted anything that I've ever seen her do. And I'm not sure that she ever actually expected me to say, yes, let's paint together. You know, agree to it. I think she just likes to say that. I paint too. I'm a painter too. You know, jealous.
Now, when
Because your
people do
husband
their
made
painting,
it that
they
way.
get lucid and they focus. You think I'm gonna let me be in a situation with that fucking narc to get in a lucid state of mind to fall?
So that she can bother me and harass me.
Your husband is pushing
put
her
downs,
buttons,
you know, and make
Denise.
me hate being with her painting.
Bother me while I'm doing something that I love, painting? No fucking way will I ever paint with her. And she doesn't paint, because if she was a painter, she would have painted. She said, oh, I'm just waiting to feel an inspiration. What, 2 decades that I've known her, just waiting for an inspiration? Meanwhile, I've been painting for like several decades, and she wants to get together and paint with me. I guess, you know, more jealousy, jealous that I'm a painter.
And if she's such a painter, why isn't she painting her own cat that died? You know?
Exactly.
Did I mention she actually also asked me to paint her family portrait? And her family portrait was a portrait of her, my ex-husband, and my son. Like, I'm gonna sit there and paint my family as her family? The jealousy runs deep. It runs deep. The envy, not jealousy, the envy, pathological envy runs
That your husband
Me
enables.
too. Let's get together and paint. I'm a painter too. Just because you say a painter doesn't mean you are a painter. Where's your painting? Where's this painting? Painter. Anyways, that happened. And she's fired. I haven't told her yet. Oh, one final thing. When I did, after that brunch, I'm so fucking angry. I went home, looked up on the computer, meningioma, got a screen capture, went in paint and circled the word brain tumor, and sent her that, and also proof of Fred Gentili being a world-renowned surgeon.
basically sent her proof that everything she was complaining that I'm wrong about is actually true. I'm proving myself right and that proving her wrong.
And her response, do you think it was sorry? I was wrong.
Never.
I shouldn't have been arguing with you. Yes, you're right, I was wrong. It is a brain tumor. I didn't know what I was talking about. No. Her response was something, I'm just saying it off the top of my head, but this is the gist of her response. Yes, we all realize you've got some serious health concerns, Denise. Everyone, I hope you find the help you need so you're not in so much pain. We've all got health struggles. That was her response to me saying, guess what? You're wrong. You're full of shit. You were calling me a liar, and I'm not. She didn't apologize. She didn't admit she was wrong. Nothing. She gaslights me and turns on some side conversation about a response to an incongruent response.
A non-response response. She starts talking about a side subject. And isn't that a typical narc thing, Ollie? Hey? Dodging the actual subject, which is her being wrong.
Again, you're still fighting for the pleasure of Ceasar. You're trying to prove yourself to this for what? Who is this woman? Who is she really to you?
Yeah, a dissonant response. It's got no relevance to what I just written to her. The proper response would have been, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I won't talk to you like that again. That was very disrespectful. No apology, no admission of what she did, no admission of guilt or being wrong, and certainly no apology.
And Narcs will never apologize. That now, knowing what she is, that doesn't surprise me in the least, and I'm sure it doesn't surprise you. When you confront them with their wrongness, they'll never admit to it, and they'll certainly never apologize.
In a nutshell, operative word nut is my nut of a recently fired malignant narcissist. Fucking asshole. I didn't need that. I didn't need that stress. Ruined a perfectly good night. Yep, just had to get a little digs in there. You know? Why? I wasn't even seeing her doing anything adversarial. Why was she so hostile? Because I was enjoying myself. And guess what? I looked nice that night. I had some makeup on, dressed up a little bit. Shit like that. That's one final thing. At the end of that brunch, while like me defending all the points that it is a tumor and that is a brain surgeon, and yes, juice is expensive, and yes, it does take that much vegetables, and yes, it does take 2 bags of carrots to make juice. She goes, well, let's change the subject. We're not here to argue. We're trying to have a nice brunch, and look at you arguing. The ultimate gaslight. She instigates an argument with me by bringing up a bunch of unfounded, without any shred of proof or validity to what she's saying, a bunch of adversarial, countering remarks, starts a fight, and then tells me to stop arguing, that I'm ruining the brunch, when it is she who started the fucking argument in the first place. There's a narc in action, just a demo of what a narc is like, an outing with a narc at the fucking table. You know. And I'm here now trying to do this painting. You know, abstract. With that on my mind, you know. You think I've been sleeping soundly and feeling good after that fucking narc attack? No. A lot of me is in my mind thinking, you know, when my ex-husband...
The same thing, Denise. Why are you putting yourself through this with this woman? Why? Because it's not about her. You think it's about her because she's the one doing it, but it's your husband or ex or whatever he is. He is soaking up all of this. All of this supply, battling for the pleasure of Ceasar.
Husband comes home, I'm going to have to get him alone and say, you know what? Sorry to say this, the harmony's going to be disrupted. I don't want your girlfriend in my life anymore. People can't talk to me like that and get to still be my friend. And I don't know what it is about her that makes her think it's safe to talk to someone like me after all I've been through with my fucking narc family and get to still be my friend. What is that? Is she actually like trying to make me not be around?
Yeah.
Coming over for Christmas or whatever, you know?
I'm sure.
Trying to cause a rift in the relationship? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the end result is I do not want any narcs in my life, especially covert narc frenemies. I don't have to put up with that shit. You know, no one gets to tell me who I've got to be friends with. I'm not going to be friends with someone like that. None of my other friends talks to me like that. They wouldn't dare. And I don't talk to people like that. And I bet you anything she doesn't talk to anyone else like that either.
Just me.
So, there you go.
Because your husband gave her the green light.
And since making that previous video that I played for you, I have since informed the father of my son, my ex, about this. I sent him an email and I sent him some messages about it.
Okay, here's the thing, Denise. Your son's in your 20s. You don't need to have any more contact with this dude. You don't. You don't need to be involved in this any longer. Your son can carry on a relationship with him, okay? But you are carrying this on, and he is gonna drag you down this hole for as long as you allow it. There's no reason for you to be messing with either of these people in this situation anymore. Your son's in his 20s. He can handle it if he wants to have a relationship with his father. He is using you. He is using you, and he is using his girlfriend. He is using you both.
Which he's ignored. It's indicated that he's read them, and he's ignored me telling him what happened, and me explaining to him that all these years she's been making digs at me.
You think he doesn't know? Come on.
It's reached now the zenith where I will no longer tolerate it. And just one example is this past Christmas, she gave me a onesie pajamas, okay, one piece pajamas, and I said, oh, that's very nice. I said, that must have been expensive. These are lovely. And she said, no, they were cheap, really cheap, very, very cheap. And she goes, oh, they'll fit you, because Jerry tried them on, and he's about 5'2", but he's quite heavy, right? Like not fat, but he's got a boxy frame. He's a drummer, right? Big broad shoulders. And she said, I tried them on and I'm swimming in them. Well, let me tell you, people, there's no way he tried those on. She said they were both swimming in them. There is no way. He would have stretched and ripped them, first of all. And I tried them on. Okay, I'm tall. Okay, I'm a model, former model. I'm tall. And the shoulders reached about here, about 4 inches short of where my actual shoulders are. And I couldn't fit in them. So she gives me this gift that she knows I'm not going to fit into. She lies that he tried them on. There's no way. They're cotton and they would have been stretched out of shape. And she lets me know that they were dirt cheap. And she also, as a stocking stuffer, gives me this bar of soap, which I'm holding up to show Ollie. Hope it's not showing up in mirror vision like it is here. But it says, I don't like you. And in small letters it said no one ever. You know, I've encountered such a gift from a narc before. The reason I fired my narcissistic ex-mother is because she put my son down, called him a no good for nothing, lazy, no good, useless piece of shit loser, just like his mother. Those were the final words, and they were in the same exact screeching tone as Ollie's ex-narc, drunkie the fuck clown mother's speaking. And my narc mother, for my son's birthday, after sending that, after me saying don't contact us again, she sent him a card, and it said something like, no one's got a thing good to say about you. And then you open it up and it says, that isn't true, you're wonderful, or something like that. But get what I'm saying? These kind of gifts and cards and whatnot from a narc, it's a passive aggressive thing. You know, no one's got a good thing to say about you. That's the main message. And so is the message, I don't like you. And never mind about the little, haha, just joking. Because that's what narcs do, don't they? They make an insult and then the, haha, just joking. said no one ever. That's the haha, just joking. But the main message that they really mean is what's on the cover of the card, and it's what's on the big print in the stupid bar of soap. I don't like you. That's right. And she gave me a pin, and it's a funny pin. I've got a dark sense of humor. It's a wooden pin, and it's a mouth speaking, and there's a speech bubble, and it says fuck off. You know, funny thing to have, except when it's given by a narc.
Denise, like, you've been involved in this situation for 18 years. You've been married to this guy she's been dating, and I understand he told her 18 years ago, and she agreed to it, but I can't believe you would think any of this is really that surprising. This is a very crazy situation, and I need you to take kind of a step back and look at it from the outside here. Okay? And ask yourself, Denise, would you be in this situation had you not been abused the way you were as a child? Would you put up with this type of fucking bullshit and belittling had you not been abused, Denise? No. No. You are selling yourself and fighting this out for the pleasure of this dude. He is absolutely getting off on it. Absolutely this situation is nuts. I understand you guys share a kid. A lot of people share a kid. But to the level that you're exchanging gifts with your husband's girlfriend who he's living with, and this has already come up with the issue with the who's divorcing. You can't be surprised that there's this aggression between you and her. You can't. And it's all for him. Not because you're trying to impress him, so to speak, but he's getting off on it. He ends up with 2 different women with MS. Come on.
That's what she meant. Fuck off to me. That's right. I'm not stupid. I catch it. I catch the drift. And the pajamas don't fit and whatnot. So back to my son's dad's non-response. Yeah. Giving me the silent treatment and punishing me for daring to complain about his lovely Julie, whose mother pays for everything, including her half of the rent, including trips for them and whatnot. He's got a lot of vested interest staying with this malignant narcissist.
Well, what did you think he was going to do, Denise? What did you think he was going to do? He lives with her for the last 18 years. And you're expecting him to take your side? And you're wondering why she has aggression towards you. That's why. You wouldn't be in this situation had you not been abused as a child by your parent. You would not have your self-esteem, your self-worth ripped this low that you would put up with this for 18 years. What you have to realize is he's pulling her strings. He's getting off on all of this. All of this.
Throwing me under the bus, punishing me. How dare I, bad Denise, complain about this narcissist? How dare I not put up with it? So guess what? Narc enabler him is fired too. And I have had time to reflect back on my relationship with him. One such instance that raises a little more than an eyebrow was when my son was almost turning 17. He had an attack of appendicitis, and when I took him to the doctor, he was misdiagnosed with a stomach flu and sent home. Well, my beloved son almost died. He almost died, and I just got a feeling that it's appendicitis. He was vomiting and you name it. Chills, shaking, losing control of his bodily functions, extreme pain in his lower right side. And I recognized that as appendicitis. I had it myself, if you recall in a previous video. At any rate, his life was saved because I brought him to the doctor via ambulance. I had called his father and said that I'm taking him in an ambulance. I think it's appendicitis. And the father was mocking me and saying, "Oh, you think, what do you know?" And he wanted to take him the next morning. And I said, "No, now you come or you don't, but I'm taking him now." So he came. We went to the doctor's and we were checking in at the receptionist. And she goes, "What's the problem?" And I said, "I think it's a ruptured appendix. And he goes, "You think?" And I kicked him. He was seen. And guess what? Operation and everything. Yes, indeed. He had a ruptured gangrenous appendix. It turned gangrenous, and this big pool of infection was aiming towards his heart. Had I left him like he wanted to, because he's lazy and doesn't give me credence overnight, he would be dead right now. Well, 2 days after my son almost died, I'll call him my son now, Jerry came to the hospital and he was all flustered. I said, "What's the matter?" Okay, he had seen him the next day, but 2 days later he came to see him again. And he said, "Julie is mad at him and they just got in a big fight." And I said, "Why?" And he said that she was crying and saying he doesn't care about her, that he's rushing off to see his son because she's got her period and has period cramps, and he wouldn't stay all day to rub her stomach for her. Poor her with her period cramps. And she was livid that he'd come to see our son in the hospital. 48 hours, 2 days after he almost died. Guess what happened the third day? She dragged him off to a wedding of a cousin in Montreal, and he actually went. 3 days, 72 hours after his son almost died in the hospital. And I had to look at pictures on their Facebook of them whooping it up at a wedding. Meanwhile, I'd stayed in the hospital with my almost dead son for 2 weeks, sleeping on a chaise lounge lawn chair that I brought next to the bed to keep an eye on him. I went in that hospital weighing 128 pounds, and I came out weighing 111 pounds. And guess what? That's right around when my symptoms started getting really bad with MS. Sandal falling off as I'm walking, etc. from all this stress. And to add to the stress, Julie whisks him off to Montreal for the wedding of a cousin. After being angry he wouldn't stay and rub her stomach with her period cramps. This is what I'm dealing with and no longer dealing with. This is who I fired. Cuck. Pussy whipped cuck, letting your woman drag you around and ignore your almost dying son and the mother of your son, and not stepping up to the parental.
So, just like he told her, you were the reason why you're still married. You'll believe him the reason he didn't stay was because of her cramps. You still don't see he was the one pulling the strings for all of this, orchestrating all of this, and you are fighting for the pleasure of Ceasar.
Bad. Yeah. Nice father you are. At any rate, I bet you he doesn't even realize he's fired. He probably still thinks he's teaching me a lesson with this little ignoring game. Teaching me a lesson for daring to speak up about Julie's abuse. But guess what? Game over. Like Ollie so wisely says, the only way to win with narcs is refuse to play the game. And I'm out. I'm out of this narc game. So it's sad, you know? It's sad to discover this dear friend, my ex-husband, technically not ex. He wasn't really a friend. And this girlfriend of his, she ain't no family. She's no family. She called herself family. She's no family to me. And my son and her and him in a portrait. Are you kidding? My son, he can barely stand her. He remembers. The harmony's disrupted, but the harmony, you cannot miss a lie, and it was all a lie. So there you go. Fire a narc today. This is the man who every time I asked him to give me a little bit of money to help support our son, I was paying for everything. My son's been living here because she made it so miserable he doesn't like to be there. Okay? I pay for everything, and every time I'd ask him for a little bit of money, even like $80 a month, he'd call me a fucking cunt, bitch, and hang up the phone. Always you and money, money, money.
And you think it's her. You don't think he's the one pulling all the strings.
Treating me like a gold digger. $80 he wouldn't even give, you know? Yeah, it's giving me time to reflect. That's right. And when we split up, he didn't have a place to go. So I let him, in my state of shock and awe of the whole marriage splitting up and me still being the overtly kind person, I let him live with me. Guess where he was living when he met her? That's right. He was living with me. She got evicted. Guess what? Me being in that overtly kind mood let her and him live with me. I paid for all the food. I cooked all the food. I'm a really good chef. And they got free rent for a year. And these are the people, you know, reflecting back. I can't believe I've been in the fog all this time. But I just fired not just a narc and a narc enabler. I believe 2 narcs. And it's very sad. This is the son, my son's father. And there goes the harmony. Luckily, my son's in his 20s now. You know. I think he's not so impressionable anymore. I think it's not going to bother him so much. And he knows, and he's seen what's gone on. He knows full well I paid for everything, and I've done everything all this time. So there you go. And I'm going to play a little clip of that video so you can see the point where she grabs the video and fucks it up just to see. Okay, thanks for listening. What's your take on this? Just curious. Okay, thanks. Bye.
camera is definitely shaking and moving out of frame. Okay. And there's an addendum here. Forgot to mention at the 30-second mark where Julie grabbed camera phone from me during drum solo. She made this loud, sexual cat sound on my video to attach herself to the video of him drumming. I also forgot to mention she sent me a sexual text in the middle of the night to my ex-husband telling him to hurry home and eat her pussy and fuck her, then pretend it was a mistake. My name starts with D, his name starts with G. How the hell is that a mistake? She did that on purpose for narc fun and to try to hurt me. Or they're just letting in to know that they get off on all of this. You think she sent it? Or do you think he sent it? Denise, it's him. He sent it. Denise, this is a very strange situation that you would put yourself in. And there's some things you're not seeing because you were in it for so long. Okay? That, you know, I could see her point of view on some of it. But you have to understand you were both being used by your husband. You were fighting for the pleasure of narcissistic Ceasar. Yes, you got out of the game. You ended the game. But you still don't know who is running it. You're still mad at the other team. You're still the Jets mad at the Patriots when that's not really the issue why you got concussions. The issue is Roger Goodell and who was running the fucking league. And he sat there like narcissistic Ceasar. And you performed, the two of you performed for his own pleasure. So, that was a very, very, I hope you hear where I'm coming from on this, Denise, because you've been around with me a while. And for you to be in this situation for 18 years is crazy. The best thing you can do now is figure out a way to get a divorce from him, because then he no longer has the excuse, Denise, for her, and then he's got to deal with now why he won't marry her. You're too much. Stop being his buffer zone. That's all you've been for 18 years. His escape valve, his buffer zone, and a means for entertainment so he can make the two of you fight. Not a coincidence you both have MS. No way. No way. So, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your recording. I hope this helped. Thank you to everybody watching. If you're still here after an hour and a half, thank you. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just sponsor the channel in general, because that's always great. You know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. If you're still unclear, wait for the instructional video link to pop up on the screen at the end of this video to walk you through all that. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.